Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, Yikes Mildred, guess your son will never walk again. Should I kick her out? My natural hair color is too much for my mother to handle. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Yikes Mildred, guess your son will never walk again. Today, I bring you another emergency room tale. In today's story, a man in his 50s, let's call him Wilbur, is brought in, clearly in pain. He is accompanied by his mother, Mildred, mid-70s. Upon questioning, he tells us he fell on his butt, essentially, and he has intense pain that resembles electricity going down his right leg, a clear indication of an herniated intervertebral disc. We do an MRI and sure enough, a disc is compressing his spinal cord. He also has a vertebral fracture, which while not compromising anything currently, seems so busted, it appears to be keeping itself together through the magical powers of sweat, sticky tape, bubblegum and well-intentioned vibes, so it must be treated ASAP before it compromises the spinal cord too. By this point, the neurosurgeon is already talking to the lad and his Mildred and making a convincing case for what he considers the best option, surgery. Mildred isn't pleased by such an outrageous and radical solution, which she claims we are suggesting in order to get richer quick, because surgery isn't the answer to everything, you see? She then looks at Wilbur with furious eyes, more piercing than a fencing foil, and asks him, "Mildred, what do you think, sweetie? Are you going to let these abusive monsters rip you off like this?" Wilbur, sad and reluctant, said defeated, Well no, but..." Mildred interrupts him, and with a triumphant and devilish sneer exclaims, "See? We want a second opinion, we are leaving." We tried to reason with them, but all attempts were futile. They signed a document that certifies they leave on their own free will, no medical discharge, and left. I felt really sorry for the lad. He seemed to genuinely want to consider the options we could provide, but for whatever reason, his mother seemed to reign over all aspects of decision-making. Wilbur returned about 5 days later in an ambulance, now with a much more frantic Mildred, who was issuing instructions left and right, all accompanied by an accusatory finger and flailing limbs. Something had put her on a Karen Crimson frenzy and she was out for blood. We began our usual questions, and what we found out was terrifying. Apparently, Mildred took Wilbur to a chiropractor, who went on to do a cracking job on his spine to fix it, and after an audible crunch, Wilbur could no longer move and feel his legs, which prompted a race back to the emergency room. Unfortunately, the damage to Wilbur's spinal cord meant there was nothing to be done to recover his legs. Wilbur was sadly sentenced to a wheelchair for the rest of his life, and he will never again feel his feet touching grass, sand, or the waves of the sea. No doubt Karen, when she dies, will drag Wilbur into the grave with her cold, dead talons even as she had in life. The worst thing is now, with a son on a wheelchair, she probably sees him as more dependent and could pounce on that to feel the needs. That poor man. This made me incredibly sad. Especially, that last line. Almost teared up. Is chiropractic a registered or licensed profession in your part of the world? He clearly has no legal recourse through the emergency department. You guys are clearly not at fault, but the chiropractor may be liable, depending on their professional status in your country. Should I kick her out? I, 27F, and my husband, 29M, live in the same building as my MAL, 55F. The owner of the building accepted selling it to me, and I'm paying like a monthly rent until I pay it all off. MIL has no idea that I own it and she give me rent money every month. I have 2 female Labrador and MIL has 1 male Labrador and 1 mixed breed. So when my dogs was in the front yard, I used to feed all of them out of my money. And she would only clean if ever she is passing by and she sees some poop. Overall, it's either me or my hubby who cleans. Yesterday I completed a kennel, made out of concrete and all the heating and cooling things so the dogs have their own little house, and as they are both potty trained we even put like a sand corner for them. I gave Emmael the previous house for her dogs with is in perfect condition, and we also reminded her that from now she needs to step up and take care of her own dogs as we are expecting a baby and will use the extra money towards the baby instead of her dogs. She got so mad for that and started berating me and telling me that her son would never do that to a widow, etc. I cut her off and told her that my dogs are now in the backyard and the left corner of the front yard is hers as long as she maintains it well and keep the dogs in control. Last week the postman accidentally gave my bills to my Emmael, and when she opened it she saw that I had insurance cover on my dogs ever since I bought them. In my country we buy dogs and they usually stay outside. She is now angry at me and my hubby for not getting insurance cover for her dogs. I have now been getting phone calls from everyone in the family telling me that I am an awful person. I have been thinking of telling her that I am the owner of the building as this is the last month of payment I need to make, and to tell her to pack her bags and find somewhere else to live at. NTA. But I wouldn't tell. I'd wait until it's all paid off and paperwork is in my name. Who knows what she might try with family and or the landlord if you give her a heads up like that. I would be afraid that if she finds out that you are the landlord she will never pay or move out. Maybe try and get her out before she realizes who owns the place. 1. Why is she opening your mail? Regardless of if the postman gave them to her, it would have your name on it. What she did was illegal. 2. Why would you cover her dogs with insurance? She's incredibly entitled for that. 3. I'd give her a reality check. Inform her of who owns the house, and unless she wants to find herself without somewhere to live, she needs to be giving you guys the respect she clearly expects from you. NTA, it's your house, so ultimately your decision. If there's no contract in place regarding her staying there, she really has no say. I wouldn't tell her that OP owns the building, every family member would be calling. If anyone calls, let them pay for it. As for MIL, so needs to be firm and consistent. Add the cost to her rent increase. A bunch of family members called, but notice that none of them offered to insure the MIL's dogs? Until those family members start contributing monetarily, their option doesn't matter. My natural hair color is too much for my mother to handle. I didn't know where else to post this. My mom started taking me to hair salons to get my hair highlighted when I was around 10. I never asked for it but went along with it because I thought it was cool that my mom was letting me bleach my hair. I got tired of it around a year later. I tried one time to get lowlights instead of highlights but it didn't work out. I didn't like arguing so I stopped trying after that. I more or less let it go until a year ago when I told her I was gonna grow out my natural color. I figured since I'm an adult it would be easier. She agreed initially, but after a couple months she couldn't deal with how my roots looked. Said that there was enough stress in her life already and she didn't need one more thing on top of it all. Got back into a salon, highlights again. I argued but got tired of it. She is truly a good mother and we are very close. You have to understand that she's not in the best place mentally right now, and I absolutely hate the idea of making her feel worse. I don't want to go into her problems because that feels wrong to do online, but it's important to note she has always had people in her life controlling her hair too. She knows what she's doing but can't bring herself to stop. I'm not asking for anyone to solve my problem. I know that I'm an adult and I could start doing whatever I want regardless of her. I just needed a place to vent and maybe get some others' opinions on the situation. Edit, I clarified this in some comments but I feel it's necessary to add here. Her problem is with the color itself, not just the roots. She can't bring herself to stop, but you can. Mom, I'm not coloring my hair anymore. My hair, my choice. This is where the discussion stops. Walk into another room or hang up the phone. Don't engage with her on this subject. Yes, Op and her mom need a serious conversation about bodily autonomy. Wait, she's in a bad place mentally so she can't handle your natural hair? There is so much wrong with that. Opie's mother is not a good mother. Opie is her mother's emotional support animal. Opie, your mother is an adult. You are not responsible for her feelings. You are not her emotional support animal. As an adult, she should be able to handle and find ways to handle the stress in her life and not use her children, regardless of ages young or old, to regulate her emotions. It's gross. It's parentification. It's abusive. What the hell, you are enmeshed and in the fog. What color is your natural hair and what is her problem with it? Do you realize how psychotic that sounds? There's definitely something going on that either you're not telling us or she's not telling you. Why doesn't she like your natural hair color? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.